What's up, noobs? It's been hard to ignore all the talk about the metaverse, but when I heard that you can buy virtual land, my real estate instincts kicked in and I had to check out what's on the market. And of course, I tried to evaluate it just like a real-world real estate deal. I didn't get very far before encountering 4 reasons not to buy anything yet. When you buy a piece of raw land, there's a lot that goes into closing. You have to do a ton of due diligence, legal work, and line up your financing. The most important part of the purchasing process is negotiating the right price, which is influenced by the potential highest and best use and what other people are willing to pay for it. For the most part, these factors have direct analogs to virtual land in the metaverse. New use cases for virtual land are emerging every day, and buyers have been bidding up prices in several metaverses to insane valuations. A lot of metaverse proponents are quick to point out that the valuations are justified because the land is truly unique and scarce, which should mimic the real world. Decentraland, for example, only has 90,000 parcels, and unless the owners vote to increase that number, that's it for that metaverse. Likewise, Manhattan is 22.82 square miles, and that hasn't changed since... Okay, it actually increases once in a while from landfill projects. But land in the real world more or less stays pretty constant within the span of a lifetime. Here's the biggest thing about metaverses that's got me worried if I bought a piece of virtual land today. The top 5 most popular metaverses out there today are probably not going to be the top 5 most popular metaverses 10 years from now. And land, whether real or virtual, ultimately derives its value from how many people want to spend time there. I don't have to worry about this problem on Earth because if I buy a piece of land in Manhattan, it does a pretty good job of retaining or growing its value over my lifetime. I know that a bunch of programmers can't materialize a new, prettier Earth with better graphics and cheaper transaction costs in the next couple of years. And even if they could, space travel isn't cheap enough for people to move there fast enough for it to gain traction. Or a better analogy is trying to attract people to move away from a tier 1 city to brand new cities. It takes decades for a city to really develop a culture and mature. But the bottom line is, real estate pricing in top tier cities is safer than virtual land, at least for now. We're in the early days of Web 3, and first mover advantage is really hard to defend. I am fully expecting a multitude of metaverses to appear, along with battles for supremacy over underlying crypto platforms as altcoins keep bringing new and better features to market every day. Sort of like when Blu-ray beat out HD DVD, but both lost to streaming. So I absolutely do not trust any virtual land I buy today to retain its value. What's that? To the moon, you say? Yeah, there's absolutely a chance that a parcel of virtual land could 1000x, and that wouldn't happen in Manhattan, at least within a hold period shorter than my lifetime. The risk-reward profile on virtual land is practically unmeasurable right now. Manhattan real estate, on the other hand, has a fantastic Sharpe ratio, and many foreign investors see it as a safe alternative to a Swiss bank. When I researched the process for purchasing a parcel of virtual land in Decentraland, I discovered that it involved transacting across 3 different and extremely volatile securities, if I can even call them that. The first was Ethereum, the underlying blockchain on which all Decentraland transactions are recorded. Ethereum in turn needs to be converted to mana, which are tokens that are used as the actual currency within Decentraland. And the third is the parcel of land itself, which can be bought and sold on open exchanges. On any given day, I've seen Ethereum, mana, and land parcels swing by more than 5%, and not all in the same direction. You could argue a foreign investor has to go through the same thing with real estate, like if a Chinese investor converts RMB to USD and purchases land in Manhattan, all those things can fluctuate. But I don't worry about any of those things swinging by 5% or more a day, nor do I worry about the currencies being replaced by a better one. And I don't worry about a new Manhattan being created in the next couple of years. You know why I don't worry a lot about Manhattan land value? One of the bigger reasons is because it's the densest county in America by a long shot. Even after the beating it took from COVID, it's a huge job center with tons of stuff to do, and people want to live here. But the density also creates affordability barriers because it's one of America's most expensive cities. I noticed that metaverses have a few barriers as well, and affordability definitely is one of them. Most people haven't yet embraced the idea that virtual land or NFTs have intrinsic value yet, but for those who have, there's a lot more demand than supply, and as of this filming, a parcel in Decentraland goes for at least 4,050 mana, which is over $13,000 US. And one record-breaking 116 parcel lot recently traded for $2.4 million US. So this stuff is not cheap. Further, as I was exploring Decentraland from my laptop, which doesn't have a dedicated graphics card, I was experiencing some slowdown. The draw distance didn't extend beyond a couple blocks, and it looked like a PlayStation 1 game. At the highest graphics settings, my laptop nearly caught fire. So another barrier to entry is the fact that not everyone can afford the latest Nvidia GeForce, and furthermore, they've been sold out and backordered for so long because Bitcoin miners keep buying them all. So metaverses have a long way to go before they're ubiquitous and accessible. Once a critical mass of people join and establish mature markets, then the volatility will die down and the virtual land valuations will be more stable. But until then, we are clearly in a bubble. The parabolic rise and fall pattern is a pretty common occurrence. The tulip craze in the 1600s, the dot-com boom in the late 90s, the housing boom in the mid-2000s, and more recently, weed stocks, Wall Street bet stocks, SPACs, Tesla pretty much every 6 months, and the top 5 cryptocurrencies. And the massive bubbles that have formed and burst in the last 18 months have partially been fueled by the injection of a few $1 trillion of newly printed money to fight off the pandemic recession. So while I do believe that there's going to be some amazing use cases for the metaverse and virtual land that will eventually generate significant real-world value, the risk profile is way too high for me because I see so many signs of bubble mentality. Early adopters are bidding it up not because of any dependable valuation metrics, but because people are betting on its potential and factoring in the next decade's worth of innovation into today's price. Warren Buffett put it best when he said, "The stock market is a voting machine in the short term and a weighing machine in the long term." There's plenty of voting going on right now, and a proper weighing machine doesn't exist yet. But hit that subscribe button, because in the next video, I will actually evaluate a parcel of virtual land using traditional real estate methods and see what happens. If the video's already out, then you can see it right here. In the meantime, let me know in the comments whether you're buying virtual land right now and what your reasons are. Stay curious, noobs.